my own son. It's a great opportunity for him. Ricky Doyle's transfer, we talked about that for about a week with him, making sure he was making the right choice. I think this a year of redshirting and getting better is really going to be good for him. So with that being said, we are right now. It looks like we with those two transferring, we have all 5 starters back. At one time, we thought we'd have everybody back, but at least have 5 starters back and some bench players, and that's some great stuff to work with going forward. So love our 16 class that is coming in, and we are open to any possibilities that would come forward now.
Lev, you want to start us off?
Coach, with the open spot, I guess what's the plan moving forward, and is there any chance of reopening the conversation with Spike about next year?
Yeah, I think anything's possible right now. We're going to look at all the options that we have. You know, when Johnny got the job at Central Florida, we did, you know, that came to my mind, and then it was picking up steam over the last week or so. And but we sat with Aubrey yesterday, so now it's sort of, okay, now let's look at all our options, see what we can do. What does the team need? Number one, what do we have to do to plug some of the gaps that we really have? So we got some interesting questions we have to answer.
The balance between...
I can't give you those all right now, yes.
What's the balance between filling Aubrey's position and maybe Spike's experience?
Yeah, that's what we have to do. If you see, if you looked at our team this year, there was there's some things in scoring, some things in passing, some things in defense that we need very badly. And if we can find that, however we find that, we're going to find that. Or we put it into the 17 class. So a lot of options.
Brendan?
John, do you foresee the chance of any more attrition this offseason?
You know, I don't foresee it, but I would not be surprised. Things change so quickly. And so we'll just watch it and see what happens. But as you can see, it's in the middle of it right now. The old, I don't know, came up with a 40% transfer rate, but you can see it happening throughout our league like crazy. So it could happen, but I don't expect it right now. But I also, if it happened, we just, you know, last time we had 3 transfers. The following year we went to the national championship game, and the following year we won the Big Ten championship. So sometimes it works out well for everyone. It really does. That teams can sort of retool themselves, and the young man gets a chance to redshirt and go on and become have a really good year.
And there's been a lot of focus on you and the idea of graduate transfers,
Yeah.
and some of your, you know, kind of, I guess, issues or apprehension about where things are going there. What is your current status on that, and would you pursue a graduate transfer if the opportunity arose?
Yeah, I think that I have nothing against graduate transfers at all. I think that what I'm going to do in these weeks to come, we have the Big Ten meetings with the other Big Ten coaches in May. I'm going to talk with Ward. I'm going to talk with President Schlissel. I'm going to talk with I already talked with Red Berenson, with Kim, with Jim Harbaugh, and try to put it all together and see if we can continue to make this a win-win for everybody. So I want to find out more and more about it. Intra-conference transfers just doesn't happen anywhere. But now the 5th year student has, you know, given people new options. Yeah, I would consider transfers from other schools, 5th year graduate transfers, yes.
Chris?
If there is any more attrition, would you expect that to be known within the next few weeks?
Well, yeah, I would think so. The
Yeah.
the classes end on the 18th, and so, yeah, I would think so.
Okay, and then you mentioned with the 30-second shot clock
Yeah.
now, on offense, is that something where you could maybe take the ball out of the rim a little bit quicker and get across half court a little bit quicker?
You know what, I've never had the 4 or the 5 take the ball out of bounds because of the fear of pressing, and having a guy back there that can't handle, and at the same time, hardly anybody presses anymore. And so, no, that's an option. The way that a couple of our teams really get up the floor quickly, that's one of the issues. We're working on it. You know, we only get 2 hours a week. We're working on it every day about how can we improve our defense individually, given the changes in the game, and how we can improve our offense get every second out of that 30-second shot clock.
And does that require a little more depth to be able to do that, to play at that tempo, do you think?
No,
or
I don't
not?
think so.
Okay.
I don't think, I mean, we'd like them to be 8 or 9, like, really solid, and if you have to go 10 or 11, you do it. We just haven't been able to be consistent with those 8 or 9. That was one of the issues that held us back from even having a better season.
Go back to Brennan.
Well, I guess with Spike, where do things stand on you and him and the idea of, now that is a possibility, have you reached out? Or do you plan on speaking to him about?
Yeah, we'll
maybe
have
on this
discussions, yeah, we'll have discussions about it. And we've had discussions about it since back when he was first injured.
And I guess in terms of, are you, there's always situations where guys are kind of actively selling their guys to other schools, making calls for them. Are you are you actively?
We have, no one's reached out to us at this point. If Spike came in and said, or Ricky came in, or now, well, Aubrey's is easy. I talked with Johnny last night. I mean, it was an extremely pleasant conversation, and he's gonna get a heck of a player. So, yeah, no, I volunteered with both of them. Any place you want me to call, I would love to call.
Down in front with Tony.
John, why the change of heart on the restrictions with the transfers, and how frustrating was it to take some heat nationally on your original take on that?
Well, I think the big issue is this is so new to everyone. Just somebody come up with a name of someone who's transferred within their league, recently. We have a football transfer, and we have Max Bielefeld, and nobody can find any other ones. So it's like, okay, this is all new. No, it's not frustrating. That's part of the thing. People would have to sit in every recruiting meeting, in every scouting report, in every practice, in every postseason coaches meeting to understand why we think the way we do about interconference transfers. But at the same time, because I'm not the only one in this, so it is, I gotta take a few bullets, and so it opens it up and we find a really good solution. Whatever it is, it's okay.
And just looking ahead, Xavier, do you have an idea what his original role might be? I mean, just where he is physically, what he might be able to do for this team next year?
Well, he plays the ball again the right way. He's an elite passer. We're counting on him to come in because obviously we only have Derek Walton at that position. Now, Muhammad has done enough to be able to do a little bit more there, and Zach has done enough, but we're counting on Xavier to come in and be one of those guys because of his talent and the need for him to come in and play right away. We hope he's going to be ready to do that. Now, I say that most players physically and mentally, takes some adjustment. But he's going to get a great opportunity to get in there and play a lot.
Do you see any of Trey Burke in him?
I do. I see the dog in him, and I mean that a positive. He goes out and guards people and plays, and he's a high competitor. I mean, he's won so many games in the last few years. I think they only lost their last game this year, which I happened to see. So it was he's really just a competitor, and I think we value that. We don't always get it coming in the door. I think this might be a guy who comes in the door with that competitive instincts, with those competitive instincts.
Mark?
Have any of your assistants interviewed for other jobs, and do you expect them all to be back?
Yeah, there is some interest from some other universities, and I'm thrilled about it. I think that this is long overdue. They are really ready to be coaches. And the fact that we've been together for 6 years, continuity for 6 years, that doesn't happen very often. And they are really ready to be head coaches. And if they want to, they ask me for advice all the time. They're asked a lot of people about some things. And if they have the opportunity, I think it's wonderful. Don't want to lose any of them. But if they have the opportunity, I think it's great.
Multiple assistants have talked to schools, or just?
There's interest in our assistants.
Okay, and is Bakari interviewed with Troy?
Yeah, I'm not going to give you any particulars. That's their business.
Chris?
You've addressed the injuries and said that you were going to be looking into that. Have you
Yeah.
started that process? And in your opinion, do you have an idea of what might be responsible for it?
No, I think everyone's unique. I mean, you look at Spike's, that has to do with DNA. I mean, if you had talked with Chuck, he's got the same thing in his hips. So you have those situations. You have Mitch McGarry and Zach Irvin. Zach Irvin had been off for the whole summer when he got hurt coming back, so it wasn't overuse. He hadn't played yet. And so every situation is unique. At the same time, the injuries to the lower leg are in the pros, they're in colleges, they're everywhere. And I think we gotta continue to work as groups to find better solutions to this. You know, we're looking into using the workload type of chips in our uniforms, in our shoes, to see what we can do, because the times that we experimented with them this year, Derek Walton was working at a completely different level than some of our other guys were. And you don't notice that. They're all practicing, but one guy's going a little harder than everybody. It doesn't mean the other, maybe the commands of their position do not mean that, or the depth of their position does not mean that. But we saw that, we said, Andrew Dockett, you need to be with the first team more in practice, because Derek can get worn up with what he's doing. So I think we got all kinds of technology. We can find some good things out of this.
You think it's just a bad coincidence that you guys were hit harder in
Well, I think, I believe it's over for Karras, over in a good way. He's ready to be injury-free the rest of his life. And so, yeah, I mean, they were all isolated injuries, and none of them were in the exact same area. They're all isolated things. It could just be the coincidence that it's all happened during this time.
Adam?
John, just kind of curious about the front court. You mentioned Ricky, and kind of layered question here. Was that mutual, or he came to you with wanting to transfer, or was this a mutual thing?
That was in his ballpark all the way. However, we were very transparent with him with the depth charts and everything like that. And I said with Ricky, the original plan was to redshirt. John Horford, Mitch McGarry were still going to be here, and neither one of those things happened. And he was forced to play really early. So that's why him going forward with this opportunity to go somewhere and develop his game wherever he goes, really be good for him. But we're not doing that. We're making sure every kid has an opportunity to give them as much information and make sure they know where they are and what they gotta do to get better.
A couple little hanger-ons to that then, I guess. Do you have a point of emphasis with the front court, given that Mo Wagner, he showed some maturity during the postseason? How big of a part of the future is Mark Denal going to be in them with Teskey and Austin Davis coming in?
Yeah.
I know that you said that maybe one of those guys may redshirt, depends who plays better. I mean, what is the immediate plan? What is the focus on the front court right now?
Well, I think we'll know more once those guys get here in the summer in October, the two 7-1 and 6'10" guys get here, about how ready they are. But right now, yeah, we believe that Mo and Mark are gonna compete, and those two guys are gonna compete. And to probably try and play DJ more on the wing. That experiment didn't work as well as DJ or us would want it to, but he's working his tail off in practice. So he can also back up there because he does know the position. But it's important that we have some type of rotation and type of consistency at that position, and we'll work at it, because it's still very young, obviously. And most still 18 today, I think.
Just look behind there with Simon.
Just with Mark Denal, has there been any conversation about reclassifying him?
All our scholarship things have to work themselves out here. How many scholarships do we have available, et cetera? But no, there's been no more conversation. That will happen as time goes on.
And then just in the terms of the timeline for Aubrey, was that something, you said it didn't really surprise you, obviously, paperwork, whatever, is finalized yesterday, but is that something where you were able to have a conversation with Spike, or kind of foresee that you were gonna have that extra open scholarship available?
No, because, I did not go there because Aubrey loves Michigan. He loves Michigan, wants to stay in Michigan, but this is a unique opportunity. So I hadn't done anything until when he told me yesterday. He could have told me yesterday, I'm staying or I'm leaving, and I wouldn't have been surprised either way, because that's a difficult dilemma. So I've done nothing with any of that. This is all down the road. We're examining our guys every time. Guys got to complete their grades. We got a lot of things that we still are juggling right now. We got 2017s we're recruiting. You got to look at 18. We're trying to put it all together.
Brendan?
Do you know who will be staying for each summer session, if anyone?
We sort of have a shell for that, and I think that everybody will be here in July. Everybody will be in July. Some will elect to go in June, and some may come back early just to work out in Camp Sanderson ahead of time. So I think that's healthy. I'm never, as you know, I've never been a proponent of you gotta stay both times. It is by their option. However, some guys may not do that. Yeah, everybody's in really good position to graduate on time, so that it's unforeseen what they'll get with their grades, but if they do well, the July session keeps them really on course. But I think there's 3 or 4 that might go both sessions. Maybe take a class that is only offered in that time that they need for their major.
And with Mo, he'll always have the European
Yeah.
option and going home in the off-season, things like that, and kind of recalibrating, I would
Yeah.
imagine. Do you definitely expect him back next year? And how would you kind of characterize just how much different, his off-season is than other guys?
Yeah, yes, I expect him to be back next year. He's got options to play with the German national team this summer. At the same time, he really wants to get stronger. He really wants to be in Camp Sanderson. He has a plan right now of going home for a short time and then coming back to Ann Arbor and putting in as much of the summer as he can here. So